Welcome to the Tested End of the Year Favorite Things series. My name is Joey Famelli, and today I have a lot of camera stuff. I'm one of the camera operators and editors here at Tested, and this year I have actually a ton of new stuff I've been playing with. Usually I don't upgrade cameras. I kind of use the same one year after year, but this year we got a couple new cameras that I wanted to talk about. The first being this little experimental camera. This is the Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema Camera Pro 6K. Now, this was the original Pocket that we used. This is the new Pocket Cinema camera. We've used a ton of their cameras in between these two, and they've always been a little clunky. They've always been a little odd, eccentric, and strange to use. And I feel like this camera is, they're finally starting to hit their stride with usability, the color science, and the features that this camera has. Now, being like it's a small handheld form factor, it actually has like internal NDs, which is fantastic. If you've ever shot in like DSLR mirrorless style shooting, you always kind of want those. This has those internals. It's got a nice big LCD, bright LCD screen. The UI is great and clean. Reminds me of like an Aries style UI. There's a high frame rate button right in the front. The Generation 5 Blackmagic Color Science is really fun to work with in post-production. It grades really well. It shoots RAW, ProRes, and you don't even have to worry about using CFast cards. You have a CFast slot there, but the cool thing about this camera is it goes USB-C to a solid-state drive, and you can record straight to that hard drive, RAW or ProRes. So I've been shooting a ton of little B-roll, just having some fun with this, exploring that RAW workflow, which is not something we normally use. And it's not something that we want to use in our main workflow. This isn't really, I think the thing about this camera is it's a great B-roll camera, but it doesn't work well in our environment. I wouldn't use this as like a build camera. It's just a little bit clunky with the mini XLRs. The audio is tricky. It doesn't really want to be rigged out. You kind of want to have to use it like this, and that is sort of what now that I've leaned into that, it's been a lot more fun to work with. Again, that's the Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema Camera Pro 6K. So the next item on my list is the Helios 44-2 vintage lens. I fell down this rabbit hole of checking out lenses after I played with the Atlas anamorphic lenses that you saw a couple years ago. We shot a little thing here, tested using these anamorphics, creating the cinematic feature, using the characteristics of those lenses, those large oval bokehs, the light flares. Anamorphics are great for doing very specific things to your image, especially the background and bokeh of the image. But I fell down this rabbit hole of figuring out what other lenses, how other lenses deal with light, how other lenses deal with image, how they break apart, all their flaws. And because of that, I went down a Reddit, YouTube rabbit hole, and I found the Helios 44-2. Now this is a very popular vintage lens that a lot of folks use for portrait photography. It's a 50mm lens that does a very particular thing on the edges of the frame. It actually bends those circular bokehs and curves them and makes it almost like a swirly bokeh, dreamy, painterly-like image. And it's a very unique look. That I've been having a lot of fun taking out and playing with and shooting all different sorts of things. On top of that, it's been a great way for me to understand and learn the optics and lenses. You can find these on eBay. Again, they're like $50 to $200. They can come rehoused. You can get them in different housings. These are very popular now. They were used in the latest Batman movie, and so that sort of shot this thing in popularity. So you might have a little bit of a tricky time finding them, but if you can find one to play around with and you're interested in learning about optics, this is a great lens to start with, which sort of leads me to the continuation of this rabbit hole of lenses, and that is the Cine Lens Manual that came out this year. This is a monster of a book. It's about $200. It was not cheap, but it is the definitive guide to everything optics. Now, this was made by Jay Holben and Christopher Probst. Christopher Probst is a ASC cinematographer, and Jay Holben is a writer for the American Cinematography magazine. Between them two, they have collected an insane amount of data and research. This is not a book about theory or about filmmaking. This is really all about technical. This is all about the technical and all about the aesthetics of glass. The first half of this book dives into the history, how these things are made, the maintenance, the care, what you're looking for, testing lenses. And then the second half of this book is really all the lenses. Every cinema lens, pretty much up until now. This book's new, it came out this year. And so you have lenses that have been tested and written about that just came out last year. And so this is a brand new book. I think this will be on the bookshelves of cinematographers, instructors, teachers, people who want to study lenses. This is the definitive guide. This will be on the bookshelf for years and years and years to come. If you have any interest in understanding lenses or optics or cinema lenses or cinematography, I think this is a must-have. This has been one of my most favorite things just to flip through this year. It's meant to be read from front to back. It's a huge book, but it really, if you can sit through that and do that, that's where you'll benefit the most. But you can open this thing up to any page and just get a insane amount of knowledge about lenses and cinema cameras. Now, when it comes time to deal with all of these lenses, you need to control them in some ways by using things like map boxes or flags or filtration. I have used a ton of different map boxes in the past. A lot of them have been sitting on rails. They have rail systems. They get a little bit big and clunky. I have found this Tilta Mirage map box to be one of the best small, lightweight, inexpensive map boxes for smaller style cinema cameras. Now, to set the Mirage map box up, it's pretty easy. It comes with a bunch of different adapter rings. You simply slide this onto the outside of your lens, and then you use this little knob to lock that on, and that's it. So once you have your map box locked onto your lens, it sits there and they're pretty tight. It's got a thumb ring, a thumb screw that allows you to just really latch onto that lens. It's not gonna go anywhere. It's very light, so it doesn't add a whole lot of weight. I use a lot of 4x5.6 filters. That's a very popular standardized filter size to use for map boxes. And so if you have some, you can just toss this in. It has one slot for that. But really what this thing is great for is in the back, it has a rear element, a rear area for you to put in these extra circular filters. This is a 95mm variable polarizer. And for me, having a variable polarizer is perfect for things like conventions when we're shooting a lot through glass. Typically, we have something that screws onto the end of the lens and I'm working through there, but this way I can put that in the back and then I have this little finger, this little dial here that I can adjust the variable polarizer of that and remove glares, remove unwanted flares from things. And then if you have a mirrorless or DSLR style, this is great for using a variable ND because not a lot of those cameras have variable NDs and you need to control your exposure. So having this in the rear lets you forget about it, lets you have access to it very easily while also having that eyebrow, that flag to cut off light when you need to, and then having that extra point for your 4x5.6 filter. So it's a really well thought out, designed piece of map box for smaller rigs. I think I will use this on rigs up to the FX6, the Blackmagic, before getting into the heavy duty guys. I think it kind of has everything there. It's very sturdy, very light, and low impact while adding a lot of flexibility to your image. So that is all of the camera stuff that I've been playing with. And I want to end this with one non-camera thing, and that is my new D&D box set, Spelljammer. Now, this is a little bit of a cop-out because I haven't actually played this yet. We're still in the middle of our campaign, but this is a campaign that I'm preparing to DM very soon. So I've been going through all the reading material, the books, the monsters, the campaign that they supply with it. They actually include like a new screen, which is necessary because there are a lot of new little rules in this. Now, Spelljammer, for a little bit of a backstory, Spelljammer was a back in the day of Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, in the 90s, there was a lot of different realms, a lot of different worlds. There was Dark Sun, which was like your post-apocalyptic, Forgotten Realms, which was like your fantasy, wizards, and dragons. And Spelljammer was always that weird space one. D&D in space is an interesting concept. This isn't Star Trek space. This is heavy metal space. This is very weird, very heavy. There's a lot of mystical, a lot of non-scientific space travel, but if you are interested in changing up your Dungeons & Dragons campaign and going into the astral sea and exploring space pirates and gravity envelopes and riding on ships, then this is going to be for you. It adds a bunch of new little rules, new physics rules, new battles, because you're doing stuff in space. There's a lot of new areas, new rules, new realms out there to play around in. There's a lot of new monsters. If you're looking to spice up your D&D adventure or just take your crew to space for a session or two, then I suggest checking this book out. It's not very expensive. This box set, I think it's like 40 or 50 bucks. I bought it on sale. It comes with everything you need as both a player and a DM, including that DM screen, which is very handy to have when you're playing in person and you need to reference some quick rules. So there you have it. There are my favorite things from this year. Lots of camera stuff, lots of new camera toys, lots of fun playing some Dungeons & Dragons with the friends. Thank you guys for being here all year with us. This has been a very exciting year and we're looking forward to much more fun in 2023. We will see you guys all again later. My name is Joey Femelli. You can find me on Hive or Mastodon maybe, I don't know, but you can always find me here on Tested doing video for you all. So see you guys next year. Goodbye.